right, what's up, guys? Again, sorry for another day of video notes. I know yesterday must have been super boring, not having me there to do the notes, and now we got to do this again on Friday. But just bear with me. I know it looks like a lot, 3 pages, but it's actually one. It's only about 2.5 pages, and the first 2 pages are going to go by fairly quickly. So if we remember, this is just solving systems by graphing, right? We learned this yesterday, we practiced it yesterday, and it's going to go by pretty good, right? So in order for us to graph these, we have to establish, or we have to identify two things. Not only we have to identify the slope for both equations, but also the y-intercept. So my first equation, I've got a negative x, right? But the negative does have a number in front of it, or I guess behind it, right? Here we're going to say that the negative, or actually, yeah, the negative, the m, is -1. But not just -1, it's -1 over 1. Remember, that means that we're going to take one step down because it's negative, and we always go to the right. But that doesn't help us if we don't know our starting point. Our starting point, this goes here, our starting point is going to be +3. So my b is 3. So here we go. I've established my slope. I've established my y-intercept. Let's go ahead and get this done, right? So I'm going to go over to 3, right? That's my y-intercept, my b. That's my first point. Now we're going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and you can keep going. The thing with the system is that very often you want to make sure that you are making as many points as possible. And I'll show you why in a second. So not only is this down 1 over 1, but if we wanted to go the opposite direction, we're going to go up left 1, right? Up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. All right, well, let's keep going. For our second slope and our second y-intercept, let's flip the colors, why not? So for my second slope, actually let's use, what color can we use? Let's use, I wanted to use Christmas colors, but it might not be possible. Let's use blue, right? So blue here is going to be 1, but not just 1, it's 1 over 1, right? Because I have 1x. And then for the b, let's use purple, we've got a 1. So here we go. We're at 1 here. Now we're going to take one step over 1, one step over 1. So it looks like we didn't need that many points to begin with, but we generally do like to have a lot of points because notice that here I have my points. And so my points tell me where we're going to intersect pretty clearly. With a line, right, sometimes we're not super good at drawing our lines. So if I did this, I just happened, right? But if I did this, I missed my line altogether, or I did this, which some of you guys literally do, right? You'll tell me that the intersection is somewhere else, right? But here, I'm able to make my line, and I'm able to make it pretty nice, so we don't have to worry about that. But the best way of assuring that you guys have the correct answer is by just writing as many points as possible. Okay, so let's see. Now I've established this is my point of intersection. So what is my answer? My answer is where x equals 1 and y equals 2. 1, comma 2. All right. So for these, we're going to go a little bit faster, right? If you guys need more help, then just review this portion of the video. But for this, we're going to go a little faster. So my first equation here, my b is going to be -5. And my slope is 2 over 1. It is the one for sure I suggest writing. Positive means up and to the right, right? Over here, I should have wrote up and to the right. So let's go ahead and do some points. Up to right 1, up to right 1, up to right 1, up to right 1. And I'm just going to keep going. If I want to go the opposite direction, we could. We could go down and left. Now let's go ahead and draw our line. Boom. I have my line. Now let's go ahead and draw the other one. So I'm going to keep the same colors, right? We're going to do -2. -2 is my y. And m is 1 over 2. positive, so that means we go up and to the right. Up and, oh, look at that. So we got our first intersection right off the bat. We only had to do the points one time. We don't have to go the other direction, but there we go. So it looks like my point of intersection here, it's going to be where x equals 2 and y equals -1. So 2 comma -1. All right. So let's keep going. So again, notice that this is just graphing. It's things that we've already known, things that we should have already mastered, right? It's just graphing. So these shouldn't take too long. This should be pretty quickly. It should be very quick. So here, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm already noticing something. I don't know if you guys notice it, but I do notice something right now. This is my slope for both of them, right? My slope on both of these is -2. I know I'm not there, but take a second and think of what that means. What does it mean when m equals -2 for both of these equations? What type of lines are they? They are parallel lines, right? So I automatically know that they have the same slope, they have different y's. So I know here that this is going to be no solution. If that doesn't make any sense right now, that's okay, right? So remember that parallel lines are going to be no solution. And parallel lines, lines are parallel when the slopes are the same, but the y's are the same, are different, right? So the m's, the slopes, are exactly the same. In this case, -2, and by my y-intercepts are different. So let's go ahead, graph these. I want to graph my first one. My y-intercept is at +4. My slope is -2 over 2, or over 1. Right, so down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1 for both. So I've got my line here, so I'm going to go ahead and just graph this the best I can. Boom. Actually, it wasn't bad. And there's my first line. Now let me graph the second one. The second line, let's flip the colors. Oh no, is -1. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down to right 1 because they have the same slope. So let's see if I got this. No, I did a terrible job. That's okay. I'll move it. Much better. There we go. I've got my line. These lines are parallel, right? They will never touch. They will never intersect. So therefore, these are parallel lines. And we know that because of the slope are the same, but their y-intercepts are different. So these will never intercept and therefore no solution. Let's take a look here. Again, my y-intercept here is -5. So I'm going to go down to -5. My that was my y-intercept. My slope here is 3, not just 3. 3 over 1. Positive means up and to the right. So we're going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. If I wanted to go the opposite direction, right, I could go down and to the left. So you have to flip both. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. Boom. I've got my first equation, or my first line here. Looks good to me. Let's go ahead and do the other one. I've got a slope of -1 over 1, so we're going to go down and to the right. And if we wanted to flip it, right, we're going to go up and to the left. We're going to go both directions. Maybe, we might not need to. But I know my y-intercept is at 7. So remember, 7 will go right here. Down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. It looks like that's going to be my point of intersection right there. And that's my equation. And so my point here, my solution will be where x equals 3 and y equals 4. So my point of intersection, my solution, is going to be 3 comma 4. All right. And we're going to keep going. Again, today I'm not going to be here, so make sure that you guys ask Miss Sosa a bunch of questions. Sorry, Miss Sosa, for overwhelming you, but right. Uh, but you guys will do great. Right? This is stuff that we already knew. It's just doing 2 at the same time now. So that's the easiest type of questions. These are going to be the got it questions. So if you got this, you guys got it. Right? The smashed it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Smashed it. The smashed it questions, right? Those are going to look a little bit different, or they might have a little bit harder slopes or something, but most of the time they're going to look something like these. Notice that they're not all in slope intercept form. We have to do that ourselves. So let's do it. So, these are y equals -3, y equals a constant, x equals a constant. So if you remember, we use 2 words, Vux and Hoy. So we're going to go ahead, let's do red for Hoy. No, let's do green for Hoy. Hoy. Oh, okay. Hoy. Remember, Hoy means horizontal. This is my 0 slope, right? So my slope is m. I'm the zero in this case, which means my y is -2. So let's go ahead. Let's make. Actually, we'll get there. Now let's do our x as red, and this is Vux. Remember that Vux means let me make this a little thinner. Vux means vertical and undefined. It's okay if you guys can't write this. Just write it somewhere else. I'm just writing it in between because I am able to. All right. So this tells us that we're going to have a horizontal line at -2. So right, this is y equals -2, horizontal line. Boom. Let's make our horizontal line here. Done. Now we're going to have a vertical line at x equals 5. So x equals 5 is right there. We're going to have a vertical line right there. Boom. Right? All I did was put a point at -2, horizontal line. Put a point at x equals 5, vertical line. And my point of intersection is right here. And notice, it's just a copy paste of my 2 answers, right? Now remember, x was 5, y was -2. It's just a copy paste of those answers. So that's a quick trick, but I would just do Buck's way. All right, easy peasy. Let's keep going. So this equation here is super easy, right? We know that my y-intercept is -5, so I'm going to actually start by doing my y-intercept right in there. My slope is 1/3. That's positive. So we're just going to do up 1/3. Up 1/3. I want to go to the left side too. So let's go down 1 left 3, down 1 left 3. And we're not able to do any more, so we're just going to go ahead and do it this way. Boom. Perfect. I finished my first equation, but notice my second equation I can't do because this is not in y equals mx plus b. This is not in my slope-intercept form. So in order for us to do that, we have to solve for y. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x here. And I have y as -2x plus 2. Wonderful. All right, now we can do something. I know that my y-intercept is +2, so that's where my first y goes. My not my x-intercept, my slope is -2, but not just -2, -2/1. So that tells us we're going to go down 2, right 1. And I'm going to keep going until I hit a point. And it looks like I already hit a point perfectly. So let me go ahead and draw a line. And this is exactly why we like to do points and not lines, because you guys saw how terrible that was. And so now I can clearly see that my answer was where x equals 3 and y equals negative 4. So 3, negative 4 is my answer here. So that's the thing with smashed it questions, right? With smashed it and mastered it questions, we're not just given our equations how they're supposed to be graphed. We have to figure some stuff out. So here we figured out that y plus 2x equals 2. Uh, its slope-intercept form is y equals negative 2x plus 2, right? We can't just graph this. We need to turn it into y equals mx plus b. All right, perfect. We got one more on this page and then two more questions, and we're done. All right, perfect, perfect. This one's the hard one. Hardest one on here. Why? Well, because we've got two equations. Lord. We've got 3x minus 2y equals negative 8. And we also have another equation. And I like to just have a t-chart anytime I do anything because it separates my work. And we've got x plus 2y equals negative 8. Actually, I don't even know why I have this t-chart. Let's just leave it like this. All right. So in order for us to graph either of these, we have to turn these into y equals mx plus b. Always have to do that. So let's go ahead and transform them. In order for me to transform this, we're trying to get negative 2y by itself, or just the y by itself. So we're trying to get rid of the 3x and the negative 2 in front of the y. So let's start off with the x, right? I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x first to get rid of it. And I'm left with negative 2y equals negative 3x minus 8. You could have also written negative 8 minus 3x, but this is just what we're going to do for now because I like it. And y equals mx plus b. I like the m first. My next step is to divide this by negative 2. And I get y is equal, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then 3 and 2 are prime to each other, which means they're not going to divide into something nice. So we're just going to leave it as is. And then I know that negative 8 divided by negative 2, a negative divided by a negative equals a positive, right? So these are going to be positive, and we're going to have a positive 4. Perfect. All right. We'll come back to that. Now let's go ahead and finish this one off. We're trying to solve for y. Oh, that looks terrible. So we need to get rid of the x first. So let's go ahead and subtract x to cancel it. I get 2y is equal to negative x minus 8, right? You rewrite. And then we're going to subdivide like we almost always do for our last step. And we get y is equal, this is a negative 1, right? Negative 1 over 2x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And that is my two equations. So I've got two equations. Let's graph them. My y-intercept here is 4. My m is 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is positive, so I'm going to go up and to the right. That was a disgusting arrow. Here we go. Much better. Not much better. All right, that's it. Spending too much time on these arrows. All right, let's do it. All right, so we're going to go all the way to 4. Up 3 over 2. 1, 2, 3 over 2. I can't keep going, so let's go the other direction. Remember, we want as many points as possible on these. Wow, these arrows were really bad, but that is okay. We're going to go down 3 over 2. 1, 2, 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 3 over 2. Make a line. Wow, look at that. That was so good. And my arrows are pretty good too. Oh, I'm going to roll. And now let's do the rest. Let's do the other equation. We've got m is negative 4. So negative 4. Or m, my y, my b is negative 4, not my m, I misspoke. And then my m is negative 1 over 2, which means we go down and to the right. But notice something, that if I keep going down to the right, down 1, right 2, if I'm not super careful with my line, now here I can be careful and I can see where it's going to be. But if you guys aren't super careful and you write something like this, you're going to probably think that there is no solution. There is, it's just super ugly right there, right? So let's make our points. Let's make other points that will look nice. So I'm going to go, instead of down and to the right, let's finish this up by going up and to the left. Up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. I've got a point right there. That's my point of intersection. That is my solution. So I'm going to draw this line. That looks pretty okay to me. Boom. And here are my lines telling me that I'm going forever. And our point of intersection, our solution, is going to be where x is -4 and y is -2. And that's my solution. So again, notice this did take a little bit more effort because we had to solve our two equations. But once we solved those, graphing them was pretty easy, right? We know how to graph. And if you need more help graphing, guys, let me know. We need to know how to graph for this. And if you're struggling, I can give you a delta map to practice. I'll even give you extra credit for doing it. So if you guys need that, let me know and I will go ahead and create those for you. We're almost done. We can also figure out what our answers are numerically. And we can do this in using a table of values. So in order for us to find the intersection of these two tables, because remember, these are technically, we can create an equation if we wanted to, but we don't actually need to, as long as there is a point of intersection at both tables. So if you remember what I said yesterday I said the reason that we graph is because we are trying to find a solution where both of these lines are true at the exact same time. So here we're looking for what answer is true. And what I mean by that is what answer is included in both of these, right? Because if you look at these two lines, there's only ever going to be one time where they intersect. There's only one time where both of these have the same answer. And it's right here. There's only one section. Every other place, they have different answers. So what we're trying to do is see here, where do both of these have the same values, right? And in this case, notice we have -3, -6. So that's not going to be an answer because this is -3, -2. Those are not the same. -2, -4, not the same as -2, 1, -1. -1, -2, not the same as -1, 0. 0, 0, that's my y-intercept. 0, 1, that's my y-intercept. I can tell because my x's are 0. But those are not the same. So therefore, these are not my answers. But look at here. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that is going to be my answer. That's the common answer. These are true for them. They are both going to be true because that's the answer for both of them. So 1, 2, that's where they intersect. So let's do that over here. We got to check which of them have the same x and y, right? So the same coordinate point. -3, 6, not the same as -3, 5. -2, 4, though, is the same as -2, 4 over here. So let's go ahead. That's my answer. My answer is -2, 4. And that is it. So super simple, right? Just find where they have the same exact answers for the x's and the y's. In this case, they were kind of lined up. Sometimes they won't be lined up, and that's perfectly fine. So that's it for today, guys. If you need anything else, again, feel free to replay this video on your own. These videos, I know it sucks when I'm not there, but it's also really great because if you don't understand something, you can go back to these videos and take it a little bit slower. You can play it in halftime, right? To take it a little slower and be able to really understand this. So I'm not here. I'm not going to see you guys for the rest of the weekend or for the rest of this day. So have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you all on Monday. And hopefully with a state championship. See you Monday.